Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Porch Time with your host, Kevin Coryell, live from JTH Construction Studio. We've got Lil Arties Basketball gentlemen in here tonight, two of them, and they look familiar. I know I've known these guys for a couple of years. Real quick, before I get to them, I want to say thank you to my sponsors, American Basement Solutions. Larry Ralph Sr. is a great guy. If you've never met him, get to know that guy. He does so much work not only here in this country, but overseas for Haiti and stuff like that. Just an excellent family. Wellspring, they handle a lot of the homeless situation here in town. Bob Goodrum, he was in here just the other night for a meeting we had. Reps Fitness, I think Dean works out. I know Kip does. I quit working out in, I think, 86. That's probably not a lie. Just Winging It, where you can get your fine Porch Time apparel. Stid's Comfort Systems, which keeps Rob freezing on Monday nights during Monday Music Hour, and we love that. We like to give Rob a hard time. Findhelp.org. Judge Williams got us involved in this. If you need help of any kind, bills, all sorts of things, get a hold of this group. Look it up. It's a very interesting group, and we appreciate Judge Williams for doing that. And, of course, Drink of the Creek, Cedar Creek. If you've not been out there, catch his concert this weekend. Fun times out there. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Great, you?
I'm good. We're out of the humidity, so it's fat guy weather, as Corey and I would call it. So we're happy. It's almost basketball season, correct?
Getting close.
It's there. Kevin, thanks for having us.
Hey, I'm glad to have you guys in here. It's been a while since I've had a lot of school people in here, but we're happy to have you guys back and get the ball rolling on this. Literally, Lil Arties Basketball. How long has that been around? Because I used to play in a thing called Biddy Ball, and I actually have a shirt in there somewhere.
So, Kevin, little story to that. We're approaching our 50th year, and so Sam Alford was the basketball coach at the time, and he approached Ken Roden about beginning a program when he was the head coach, and it was Biddy Ball, and we started at Poston Road, and obviously it has developed over the years, but that's where it started. And the only thing that Sam had asked Kenny to do was that his son Steve had to play every halftime of every varsity game. So that was the major stipulation. But
now, was this a kid named Steve Alford?
Steve Alford, that some of you might know.
Was he all right? Did he turn out all right?
Some people have heard of him.
Yeah.
Maybe an All-American.
Right. Had a ring.
But wasn't Ken like 19 at the time, something like that? He was young.
He was young, but
wow.
You know, that really started Ken being involved with not just Lil Artie basketball, but you know, he obviously went into softball years later, but junior league football, middle school football. So he started so many things, was part of so much. But so we can owe a lot of what we have today to what Ken Roden had put together, and we've just taken the baseline that he started and we've developed it over.
I think that anybody that played basketball in this community, I don't know when it quit being Little or Biddy Ball, but we moved back in '76, and that's what it was. And just everybody remembers that, and that was just an awesome thing. And they had, I love the team on the back of your shirt and the basketball, and I still got them. I think Keenan Steinway and I were joking about it one day. He still got a shirt too, and of course it fits him.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, that's memories you'll never forget. Biddy basketball.
So the shirt that you talk about, and there's for a number of years, the diagram of that shirt had a player on there, and the diagram of that shirt actually was a picture that resembled Jerry Seasteen. So Jerry Seasteen had
on the backside somewhere, but
well, you know, talk about you know, the NBA has the Jerry West.
We have a Jerry Seasteen.
We have the Jerry Seasteen. So that's where that emblem came from years ago.
That's awesome. I did not know that. And Jerry's been in here on Sports Nuts with Dean, and man, you talk about, he's still a classic individual, and just some stories about Martinsville and of course the NBA. Just amazing dude, and
be a great book, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would be. And it started right there, Biddy basketball.
And I think we're going to try and looking to bring that silhouette back this year on the jerseys and shirts for the 50th.
Really?
Yeah, we've talked about that. Hopefully we can make that happen. Hopefully maybe Super Sports still has it, and we can make that happen.
I wouldn't doubt it, but like I said, I know I got one buried somewhere.
We may need to borrow it.
And Keenan, I know, has one, and there's a couple others,
yeah.
So pull one of the most shirts out.
Well, you know, Kevin, the funny thing is that as students graduate and we go to their senior open houses and those kind of things, it's not uncommon for us to go to a house and all of a sudden you see a blanket that a grandmother had made that's got multiple T-shirts on there, and you see multiple Lil Artie T-shirts that are a part of that blanket, and it's just a great memory for kids.
Right.
And I'll go back to just this past spring. Went to an open house, and we walk in, and there's 5 young men, graduates, sitting on a couch, and they're watching their 5th grade championship basketball game, and they're laughing and having a good time with it. And I'll go the year before, I went to another graduation party, and there was a grandmother sitting there watching her grandson play a different year 5th grade basketball championship
In that time.
when the elementary schools played against each other.
Right. I remember that.
Since that time, because of the reconfiguration of the schools, now we do that in the 4th grade.
Yeah.
But it's just a part of our community that people love, and as we've talked about, Kenny Roden started that.
You just said something I didn't know. So the 4th graders play each other now?
They do now, yes, because they are now the 5th grade. They're the highest class
Highest
in
class
that
in the
school.
school. Okay.
So we looked at different ways to make that work, and the only way it really worked, you really can't have a kid that's going to Bell and say, well, you'll play on the Smith team because that's where you would have gone, because you're
Right.
not in that school every day.
Right.
So the only thing that really worked was the 4th grade, and it's worked. I mean, ask Beth. She'll tell you her son played on it last year. He won a championship with Poston Road.
That's awesome.
And he's got the T-shirt to back it up,
Right.
and the trophy. But that what you were saying about the memories and watching these videos. I tell the parents this before the championship game every year. It's the memories that make us rich, not the trophies.
Right.
And that's what you keep
100%.
those memories. The trophies are in a box. A couple years after you win it, those memories are still there.
100%. And one thing, building the program up to, as you go through, as it keeps going, I think it's vital that we keep our junior league, our junior football, our Little Arties, our Artesian Little League. Gives the kids an avenue of positivity instead of negativity that they could easily fall into, as we're all aware of.
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, it's a positive experience, and it's a rec league, but we focus on fundamentals before every practice. Then we have an opportunity for the coach to work with their players in that practice time. We have a tremendous board that works a lot of volunteer hours to make it happen. And the funny thing, or when Kenny and Teresa did it, there was only a few others, Chris Sheets and Bart Smith, Jason LaRue.
Yeah.
And so there was a small team of about 4 or 5 that did this for a number of years. When Kenny Roden stepped down, we needed to double that team.
Right.
And there were so many things that Kenny just did that we all took for granted.
They weren't written down.
Right.
And so, we've taken that model.
Big shoes to fill.
Oh, absolutely. But we've taken that model and we've tried to modify it and make it as good as it can be for our kids and make that positive experience you're talking about.
Sign up dates coming up.
Deadline is October 3rd.
Which
Get
isn't
signed
far
up.
off. That's crazy.
You sign up online.
Mhm.
You can go to artesians.org.
LittleArties.org.
LittleArties.org.
But it's on the Artesians website, correct? That's a separate website.
Well, now we've got our own domain.
Okay.
So Little Arties, type in Little Arties, you'll find it. They can go in and register. And that was probably one of the bigger changes we've made in the last 5 years, is that we've gone to online registration, and that's really helped, make it more convenient for people.
Sure.
And we've also been able to make some adjustments with that 5th, 6th grade league. And so, but that's coming up October 3rd. We encourage everybody to get out there because we have evaluations that occur right behind that for 2nd grade. Yep. Those evaluations. So then we put teams, try to balance the teams out a little bit. And then once we get back from fall break, then we start having our coaches meetings. We have a clinic.
That quick.
And then we start that first week in November. So it's coming fast. That's for sure.
October's chaos.
Month and a half away.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And when you cut off October 3rd, you're cutting off those registrations. You always have some stragglers that come in. Then that next week you're bringing in 2nd graders and you're running them through drills and you're grading these kids. You're assessing them so that your teams are fairly balanced.
Sure.
And then like you said, then you got a coaches meeting, and then you're putting teams together, and you're getting the coaches to call all the parents and say, okay, your son's on my team, and this is the first practice. And then the week after Halloween, we start practice, and we practice usually 2 weeks, and then we start games
Where's practice? Is it at West now, or are you guys in the auxiliary?
It's still at Wooden. Yeah,
Okay.
we still do the second and third. I know.
Sorry.
I'm still there. We do second and third at Wooden, and they practice together. You're with your team, but you're on your own section of floor, and then the person that's running practice shows you what drills you're doing. Each coach has a drills book, and then you're given like 8 minutes, and you work those drills with your team, and then they blow the whistle, and you come back and you go to the next drill, and it just it builds. So you might do the same drills for 2 weeks, then you're throwing a new drill in that built on the drill that you were doing before.
Sure.
And we've got a drill book. We have a coaches clinic that the coaches come to with Coach Staggs. They're free to take notes. He goes through all this stuff with them. I think they've even sent this drill book to other schools before, just to help them out. They're wanting to start a similar program.
That's awesome.
The next thing we're off and running, and the hardest part is getting the season started. It's like when you're trying to get a rocket off the launch pad. It takes more fuel to get it going.
Right.
And once you get into practices, it starts to flow. The next hurdle is your first game, especially with second graders.
Right.
And then once you're into that, once you're through that, you're feeling pretty good about it, and the season starts to cruise at that point.
How many kids you have last year total?
About 250.
Really? That's a good number.
And you think about over 50 years, Kevin.
Yeah.
Take that 250 times 50.
Well, sure.
Think about the number of kids this program's impacted. And, you think about, we were all involved. And I can remember going to Poston Road and going through those drills and playing a little bit and going to Super Sports and getting the bag. And you had to get the shoes from Larry, from Frank Pauley, and that's just what you did, right? And that was awesome back in those days. And then you got hooked. And that's the thing. Not only is it a great thing to keep kids active, but it finds a passion for kids. Whether it's football, whether it's baseball, whether it's basketball, kids learn to find a passion along the way. And we think over a period of time, that's happened.
Right. And to go back to what I said earlier, the structure, because some of these kids nowadays, they don't have a lot of it. Unfortunately, just the way the world is right now. And you're putting them in a positive spot with structure, and who knows, it may change their life in the right direction or keep them from going in the wrong direction. 250 kids. A lot of kids.
It is.
And what's the age groups? Second grade and on up?
Starts at second. We do have a few people that come bring their kids in early and start early, but it starts at second grade and up through sixth.
If a kid's 6'1" in the first grade, he's playing.
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah. So fifth and sixth play together. It's intramural, more of an intramural style in the sense they practice together at Bell after school. But then they play on. They're assigned. Their draft. That's the league we have a draft in. The coaches come together. They have a draft. They make it a real fun event out of it. They do a snake draft, and so you have a team that you play for. But the practices are intramural style.
Okay.
At this after school, and then they play on Saturdays with their team. Fourth grade is a school team. They can practice 2-3 nights a week at the school with just their team, and then second and third is over at Wooden.
Hello, Teresa. So the fourth graders, they play against the other schools.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're still Lil Arties.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
We've got their school collars, their jerseys are school collars and everything.
That's awesome. Cool. Second through sixth grade, 250 kids. That's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, one year we had almost 90 kids in the fifth and sixth grade alone.
Wow.
And as Dean was alluding to, so they stay right after school. They're at Bell Academy, or East, like we used to call it back in the day. Home of Ronald K. Bell.
Right, I used to
and
stay all
Austin
night
Luker.
Bell's.
Right,
yeah.
right. And you can't make them any better than those two gentlemen. But so we bring those kids together. Adam Brewer will work with those kids after school a couple days a week, and then we have some parents that will be in charge of a team and coach them. And then one thing that we did, a couple years ago that we really felt was a good move was that we moved their games to Saturday. And they play on the big court, and they have an opportunity to practice a little bit before their game. Fifth, sixth grade players play against each other. So with the reconfiguration of the schools, we had to come up with a better plan, and it's really gone well. We're really excited about that.
And they have a tournament. Fifth and sixth have a tournament at the end of the season, and the fourth grade have a tournament. And then second and third does it. They just play their 10 games, and it's more instructional. But yeah, you're building towards the fourth and the fifth and sixth. That's the reward.
Now, do you guys branch out and you play other communities like they have some in Martinsville Junior Football League?
Yeah, so that's coming up this week. So this is an extension. So we have Indy Hoops. Let me go back. So I can remember when Kenny came to us, and we had second through sixth grade playing in Lil Arties. And then there was an organization called Indy Metro. So Indy Metro came out and they wanted to put what you're talking about, Avon versus Martinsville,
Sure.
Plainfield, Mooresville, and a little league. We started out with 6th grade only. And if I'm not mistaken, maybe a Derek Krebs or that age group was one of the first groups that were in that Metro League. And so that has since expanded to what we call Indy Hoops. So Indy Hoops is a travel organization that's an extension of Lil Arties, and we'll have tryouts next Wednesday, and actually the next 2 Wednesdays, so September 22nd and September 29th, and we'll bring in 2nd and 3rd graders, 3rd and 4th graders at 6, and then we'll bring in 5th and 6th graders at 7:15.
So 2 teams?
We actually have 1 team per grade.
Okay.
And then if we have enough interest, then we'll look at putting 2 teams per grade in there. And so that's a great experience because now they are going to go play Plainfield, and now they are going to go play Avon. Right. And what we find is that, it's a different league, it's a different world.
Right.
And so those coaches have to spend additional time outside of Lil Arties to make that all work. So those kids now, they're playing not just 2 nights a week plus Saturday. Now they're 2 nights a week, Saturday and Sunday, and probably an Indy Hoops practice as well. So it's
But
it's
you guys back in the day, I think you played like 6 nights a week back when we were growing up.
Well, we were playing somewhere, right?
Yeah, somewhere, yeah.
Yeah.
If you weren't at the school, you were at the Y or the park or in the backyard or something.
No doubt.
You're hooping everywhere.
Yeah, I remember Jeff Bell and I getting on our bikes and going down back at Kramertown Loop and stopping at Tiny's Pizza there at Ohio Street, and then we'd blow up to the park, and Eric Ratz would meet us up there, and we'd play home run derby.
Right.
And if after we got done with that, then
you go to the 8s or the 9s, probably.
We better start heading home because we had to be home by dark.
Right.
So those are good days. Those are fun days, and we're in such a, I don't know, just in my observation, and others may differ, but kids are very much behind that computer anymore. They're behind that screen. And so this will force kids to get out and be active. They become active. They start to interact with people too, start to learn how to interact with adults. So there's a lot of positives that come from all of this.
Right. And that's needed, like you said, with what's going on with it.
The teamwork component.
Yep. So registration October 3rd?
It ends October 3rd. It's open now.
It's open now all the way to October 3rd.
Yes.
Boys and girls?
Boys. The girls have a different league through the YMCA.
Okay.
And then the girls program, they just started with the YMCA. Last year was their first year, and all their registrations go through the YMCA.
Okay.
Their program's very similar to ours, in the sense of the drills that we have. They use some of those same drills. They use some of that same structure. So, why recreate the model in that regard? So they've taken a lot of things that we've done over the years, and they're starting to duplicate it.
That's good, because that question's going to come up. I'm sure if somebody asked me now, pushing towards Y. Who runs it out the Y? You guys?
So Don Lips runs it.
Don, that's what I thought.
Okay, so he's very much involved, as well as Dave Dorsett, the head girls coach.
Sure. Good deal.
Yep.
I'm excited. Basketball season. I'm ready for football on Friday night, though. I'm sorry, but it's hard to. But I think basketball in the state's going to be better this year with IU making some major changes, and we got to get back to being a basketball state. I love football, but
well, you know what? I'll share this with you. So my position as being athletic director, the finances of high school athletics across the board last year took a big hit. There's just no question. So I'll give you one little example. So there's only 3 IHSA tournament series that the money's come back to the school. So football, boys basketball, and girls basketball. So everything else goes right back to the IHSA after your expenses are paid. So like a few years ago, we hosted the baseball sectional. So after everything was paid out, we sent the IHSA a check. All right. Well, with football, basketball, boys and girls, what happens is that, again, all the expenses are taken out, but then you split the profits 6 ways if you have 6 teams in that sectional. So, like for football this year, we're in a sectional with 8 schools. Oh, wow. Madison, Mooresville, Greenwood. So you put all that money in a pot, and then you divide it, equally after expenses by all those sites are paid out. So boys basketball alone, I'll give you an example. So I looked up the year before Martinsville basketball went to Columbus North, participated in the sectional there. The following year, which is last year, we went to Bloomington South. The check that we received from Bloomington South was 10% of what we'd received the year before.
Really?
So that's how much it had decreased. Because if you think back to last year from November to January, February, we were down to 2 people per player, maybe four people.
Right.
So we had capacity limits, and all these capacity limits built in. And so we took a financial hit last year just in those 3 tournament series.
Right.
You know, those are monies that you can pretty much count on, and it's not going to overflow the bank account. Don't take it the wrong way. But
it provides the school.
But when you're talking about buying a set of uniforms or a set of footballs or whatever, it makes an impact.
Right. And with COVID going on this year, Morgan County we're good to go. But how did you guys handle that last year? Mask on the court, or what did you guys do?
The players were not masked on the court, but they were asked to be masked off the court.
Okay.
When they were sitting on the bench, we were limited the people attending to be strictly parents, immediate family members of the players, which so grandparents could not attend. Unfortunately, aunts and uncles couldn't attend. They had to be masked. We made sure the gym cleared before anybody else the next game, and their players and coaches and fans came in. We had to clear. So we had one way in and one way out of the school.
Right.
So it was the most difficult year, and I think this is my 8th year with Lil Arties. That was obviously the most challenging year. We didn't think we were going to make it. I mean, I remember Dave Toll and I talking the Saturday before Thanksgiving. We always shut down for Thanksgiving. We take the week off. We did not think that we'd be back after that because the way that COVID was spiking, we thought we'd be shut down. And how we pulled that season off, I'll never know.
Right.
But it was an incredible challenge.
Very, very little issues at all.
We had some quarantines.
Yeah.
But other than that, no.
And so far this year, wide open in the past, or have we got some?
Well, wide open's probably not the best way to describe it. But as of right now, we're able to move forward.
I mean, if you can put 75,000 people in a college stadium on Saturdays,
we could talk about that just for an hour. But to credit the board of directors for Lil Arties last year, they were tremendous. Stevie Ralph, Adam Brewer, Kyle Stout, Dave Tolliday, Doug Giles. I go down the list. Dean, obviously, but they really worked to comply with what the schools were trying to do so that the schools could play. And so they tried to stay in line with what we were doing at the high school and middle school level so that we're all on the same page. So, yes, there was one night Dave called and said, hey, we've got a positive case. What do we do? How do we handle it? We went through the whole contact tracing and a quarantine, and we had kids that didn't play the following week. That affected the travel Indy Hoops program. It affected games on Saturday.
Wow.
But to their credit and to their parents' credit, everybody stayed patient. We kept working through it. And it's just amazing that we were able to play anything at all.
Right.
Our sister state, Illinois, they didn't play anything last year.
Right.
And so the fact that Indiana was able to do anything is a credit to a lot of people that worked really hard, very diligent. And our Lil Arties program is an example of that.
Well, I mean, every event, we do a lot of music at Cedar Creek and stuff, and this fall or this spring when we started, some of these bands have been sitting for a year, couldn't play anywhere. The only thing they were doing is sitting at home zooming with each other back and forth, and they could not wait to get back on the stage and do it. And you could see it on Saturdays. I was teasing where these universities are now full and the fans are just going crazy. Because we missed it, and I couldn't imagine playing at that level like that last year, and then not some of these states that couldn't do it at all. There's no way. As a kid, I'd have went nuts because it was it was always something season, basketball, baseball, something.
Yeah, you played
football.
everything.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, and if there wasn't an organized sport going on, you were playing it somewhere.
You created one.
Right, exactly.
Right.
A pitcher's hand.
Right.
We played pitcher's hand. And
wiffle ball anywhere.
That's
so.
right. Well, go to your point. So Ryan Seasteen was a young man that played in our basketball program about 20 years ago now, and he was on a team. We won the sectional, and we had a good little run with him and his teammates. But he's a head coach in Illinois, and so we stay in touch a little bit. And as a matter of fact, he brought his team over, and they practiced at John Wooden Gymnasium a couple years ago, and so we've stayed in contact. But regardless, he called me and he said, "How are you guys getting to play?" And I said, "I'm not really sure, but we're making the best of it every single day."
Right.
He goes, "You guys are so lucky because they were shut down, couldn't even go in the gym."
Right.
And so, kids need this.
Oh yeah.
Kids need this.
100%.
And I know we're maybe not getting off topic here, but in the year on March 12th of 2020, that's when IHSA shut down all sports. It was the day before the basketball regional.
Yep.
And we were supposed to host the regional on the 13th. And we were supposed to have a young lady participate in the gymnastics state finals that day. Well, that was the last event that occurred. Now, I'm going somewhere with this story, so stay with me.
I want to interrupt you. Remember Anderson? They were going to play. Who was it? I forget, but it was something going on at Anderson, and they were on ESPN and everything. Was it the basketball season? The tournament starting?
The Big Ten tournament was starting.
Well, right, but I think there was a game. It was the Anderson, high school.
Yes.
Something going on up there. ESPN had it, but they're like the only team left in America that hasn't bowed out yet. And I was reading about it. It was good stuff, but I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. Well, there's cases where people did try to play a little bit and got shut down.
Sure.
But on that March 13th, we had a young lady that participated in the state finals in gymnastics, and that was the last high school event of the year.
Right.
So you go March, April, May, June, nobody on campus, nobody doing anything. And so our kids basically our coaches were trying to talk to them via Zoom, email, but here's my point. On July 7th of that summer was the first day that student athletes were allowed back on campus. And it was an unbelievable day because it told us why we do what we do. It told us that this is important. This is what kids need this. But it also told us that coaches and teachers need kids too.
Right.
It's
a two-way street.
It is a two-way street. And we all of a sudden we discovered that, hey, we're in this together. So all of last year, while we mitigated, had all kinds of protocols and worked through all kinds of scenarios, we were able to provide something that, and like Lil Arties, that a lot of other states weren't able to do.
That's awesome.
It really was.
And the only thing I think that we did not accomplish last year that we normally do was Lil Arties Night at the high school because we could not do it because of the limits of capacity.
Sure.
But the 4th grade tournament went off as planned. The 5th and 6th grade tournament went off as planned. The 4th grade free throw competition went off as planned. Closing ceremonies. We had a closing.
Well, closing ceremonies was per grade, so we didn't want to bring everybody together.
Right, we did that.
So 2nd grade did they did their small group. 3rd grade did a small group.
I think they did that in the final night of practice, something like that. So we still managed to pull it off somehow.
Wendy's got a question: restrictions and rules for this year with attendance and masks. We kind of already hit on that, but
so I think right now, as long as the schools and county and there's so many agencies involved, so many people touch this. It's the governor's office at the state level, the CDC, the county board of health, our school administration. There's so many people that are having their hands in all these restrictions, what we can and can't do. So as of right now, masks are optional. And so there's no capacity limits. So granted that everything moves forward, we'll be able to get back to some sort of normal. We're going to be very cautious as you move forward. We're going to encourage people to stay home if you're sick and wash your hands and spread out.
Common sense.
That kind of approach. But as of right now, there's no restrictions. I'm fearful, I'll be honest with you, that there's more and more restrictions coming because it's happening in other schools.
Hendricks County went to red this morning. That's where I work. And I know that because they put the mask back on and things like that. I don't know about the school corporation, but I heard that on the radio this morning. Hendricks County is one of the first to go back into the red.
So the difficult thing, Kevin, is that as we see this, schools are doing different things.
Right.
So I was at Brownsburg High School yesterday. All of their kids had masks on.
Really?
Every one of them. And, you know, Monrovia just went to mask. Everybody has to wear them just this past Monday. So we're seeing pockets where people are going back to the mask. We're still at an option in our schools. There's no capacity limits in any venue that I'm aware of. But, you know, if the positivity rate rises and people above us make changes, then we're going to have to adapt. And
right. Let's clear that up. Not only for Little Arties, but for anything at the school level. You guys are only doing what's being told to do from the state level, correct? Down through the Board of Health, County Board of Health?
So absolutely. So the County Board of Health is our sounding board, and and our administrative team has worked closely with them in recent weeks, just trying to do some things different with contact tracing.
Sure. Do
some things different with mask. Look for opportunities because kids need to be in school.
100%.
That's the bottom line. But we are, not we as in Martinsville, but the way the system's set up, we are sending healthy kids home.
Right.
And it's not Martinsville. It's other schools. It's other counties.
Right.
And so our administrative team is working with county leaders and actually state leaders trying to find a way to keep kids in school.
Right.
And the problem is CDC has a set of rules. Indiana has a set of rules. And so you've got to stay in line with those to a certain degree. And it's just really been difficult. It's frustrating on a lot of levels. Kids want to be in school. I mean, we've got kids that are crying in the front office because they don't want to go home.
Right.
They don't want to be gone for 2 weeks.
Right.
We've got athletes right now at the high school level that have missed 5 or 6 games because they've been contact traced out. I'll give you another example. We had a young man, he was contact traced out 4 times. 3 times last year and 1 time this year. Never had it.
I'd give up at that point, so I'm staying home.
But
and
that's
that mindset.
But that's what we're fighting.
Right.
And we want them in, and our administration wants them in. But there's a guideline that we've got to follow, and there are misdemeanors that follow if you don't. So
right. No, yeah.
They've got you going either way.
It's been a difficult year in all phases, and I couldn't imagine a school corporation dealing with it. You see how it affected college and on down the line. It's just Devin's at IU, and she's taking some extremely hard courses. And when they told him, "Hey, no in class, this year everything's Zoom," he's like, "Dad, I can't learn 5th year Arabic through a Zoom call."
It's a whole nother level of challenge right there.
I get it, but you're gonna have to do what you have to do. And so her senior year, when she rolled around, she's like, "If we don't go in class this year with it, I'm gonna snap." And I said, "I get it." So far, luckily, they haven't. I don't know if they booted him out yet or not, but hopefully they don't. And hopefully we get through this and you guys can have a wonderful season. Little Arties, how long have you been involved in it?
I think 7 or 8 years. I walked into when my son was a 2nd grader to sign him up for Lil Arties. But they were having sign-ups back when we were the old-fashioned days. You walked up to the table and you signed them up, right? And they measured their height and they they built the kids by heights.
I never got my height measured. They're just like little kids.
Yeah.
Little one to go over there.
So I walk in and Ken Roden sitting behind the table. And I played football for Ken.
Right.
And Chris Sheets and Jason LaRue are sitting behind the table. And we went to school with them.
Right.
Chris takes a coaching app, puts it on a clipboard, hands it to me, and says, "Fill this out." Bart Smith's sitting there and he says, "Might as well. You're going to be there anyway."
Right.
So I signed up, having no idea what I was getting into.
Did Bart graduate with us?
No. He's been, I don't know how old he is.
So Bart had his kids went to Martinsville, but he did not attend Martinsville.
Okay. But is he around our age?
He's a little bit older than us.
Okay.
Long-time board member, though.
Okay.
And kind of Kenny's right hand. He and Chris were pretty tight with Kenny on that for years. And so I signed up not knowing what I was getting into, and it turned out to be a great experience. And next thing I know, I'm 4 years later, I'm replacing Kenny as director. And, I still called him coach.
Right.
Marvin Roden still called him coach.
Right.
But
do and I was going to hit on that. This is a little old school here. We played on the first and the only teams to actually wear the gold pants back in the day.
77.
And Marvin was our coach. And he follows the show and will message me every now and then. And that just hits home for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you how old he is now. But he was our coach with gold pants on the Seahawks.
Oh yeah, and then
I don't know why the Seahawks we had gold pants, but it is what it is.
I got lucky and had him the following year again as a coach for the 49ers. Really? So I had him 2 years in a row.
Right.
Plus, he was an assistant on the Chiefs when I played for Kenny.
Right.
So 3 out of 4 years.
You had Marvin.
I had Rodens 3 out of 4 years.
Right.
And I had Frank Knox the other year, who was a great coach.
There you
I
go.
was blessed.
Yeah.
You know, not one of those guys had a kid on the team.
Right.
They were in it because they wanted to make a difference.
But Marvin, I don't know if he's on here yet tonight. There you go. How's the air conditioning? Rob, I got it set on 74 in here right now, bud. It's not Monday, but we can click it down.
It's blowing on me.
Yeah. Well, that's where Rob sits.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can hang meat in here every Monday.
I'm going to say, Coach Helms, it's probably not to your standard because I know what your standard is. And sub 40 is not what it is in here.
It's so funny. Did you guys see Monday night with Henry Lee?
I was not able to.
We were dying laughing. Henry Lee, an Indiana legend, and we just had a blast. Rob and us in here, and that some of the individuals that he's brought in is just amazing. We love Rob, and we give him a hard time, but.
Did you see Henry Lee at the fairgrounds in the 80s?
No, I did not.
He was at the county fair. I was in
the military when
you
came.
probably were.
Yeah,
and I saw him.
Now, one of the first shows I did see here was Kentucky Headhunters at the fairgrounds. If you guys remember that, but I didn't get to see Henry Lee.
Yeah, he was when right at his zenith.
Right.
Yeah, he was big. He had to hit. I wish I had a girl that walked like that. It was huge at the time, and it was the summer. You know.
That's what I was telling somebody at work today. I go, how many people, and we're supposed to be doing Lil Arties, sorry folks, but how many people can say, Henry Lee was at my house last night? So I'm like, when he left, I was like, dude, I just had Henry Lee summer at my home. He left his CDs and stuff, but I don't know, just Rob's a good dude, and we like messing with him. So anyway, I didn't mean to get off on track, but
that's okay.
Seahawks, you've been involved in one form or another, helping these kids in this community. Since you played in the league.
Yeah, I got involved with the Y.
I know you were at the YMCA.
I was on the Y board for 9 years.
Right.
Did the last 3 years of that as the board chair.
Right.
And then I rolled off of that, and then that's when Kenny said, "Hey, you want to join the Lil Arties board?" So I'm like, "Sure,
right,
be a part of that." That was a great organization. So I jumped on that, and my son's old enough now that he's not involved with it anymore. He's a freshman over at the high school.
Sure.
But I see the benefit.
Right.
It's a labor of love for all of us.
Right. You've been involved one way or another in your entire life.
That's pretty accurate statement.
I would say that.
Yeah. So
not only you, but family members too.
Yeah. I mean, we've been around it, but I remember playing bitty ball like we talked about earlier in the 70s, and then I can remember even as we got older, before we graduated, assisting at that time. The head coach at Martinsville High School wanted things a little different, so we got involved. We helped coach some of the teams back then when we were middle school and high school, and got involved, refereed a few games, and then when I came back in 90, after I was at Terre Haute South, I came back in 95, 96, and I was able to be involved with Lil Arties and work hand in hand with Kenny during that time frame. And that was a good 12, 13-year run. Left, came back, and so you're right. It's been kind of hit and miss, but probably I'd say probably a good 30 out of that 50 years I've been either a participant
easily,
or maybe a coach or administrator of the league or advisor, however you want to call it. Been very involved, and we've been able to watch it evolve over those years. From like we've kind of said a few things already, but just the growth of the program, the changing of rules, the different accommodations have been made. We'll see a lot of that over the years.
Well, basketball has always been a major part of this community, obviously. You got a gentleman named Wooden attached to it, and just think the progression. Here we are, still going strong. And all the coaches that we've had in here on Sports Nuts most have been football due to the seasonal thing, and I think we'll get some basketball in later. But you got to have that base. If your program's going to eventually get good, you got to have that base. And I think 250 kids, that's a good deal. You know what I mean? I know it's growing, it sounds like, or maybe it isn't, but hopefully it does, and hope the kids stay interested in it and keep moving for you guys, because parents out there don't understand. I coached girls softball for 12 seasons, and that was don't ever do that, by the way. Just, I'll make this story quick because you could have 10 girls in there and they could awesome players, but it only takes one kid to walk in and go, "Hey, I've got cheese fries," and you might as well say, "Hey, coach, we're done. We're done. I don't care what happens, we're done." But and I always say this, but girls, and I got 3 daughters, you got 10 kids, so you can break them down 3 apiece, and the 10th one's doing whatever. But these 3 may not like these 3, but these 3 like this 3, but these 3 don't like these 3, and it's just a daily thing. And you're like, oh man, I don't know what I'm doing. But every year, it's a labor of love.
Yep.
And the reward you get to seeing those kids succeed, not only in sports but in life, and you hope they do. And you guys have seen a lot of them come through the program.
You hope you at least help give them a chance, you
Right.
know, in some way. And then you hear a lot where there's nothing to do for kids in this town. I kind of bristle at that because there are people doing things.
Same.
Maybe it's not a go-kart track or maybe it's not what you want, but there's opportunity out there. And get involved. I encourage people to get involved.
We hit on it earlier. We didn't have go-kart tracks.
Nope.
We had wiffle balls and bats.
Yeah.
Or we had a hoop with no net. Or we rode our bikes from Sunrise Edition all the way to the city park. And I know you can't really do that right now because they've destroyed our outer edges. But
my parents'
there's
side
things
yard
you
was a
can do.
football field.
Right.
It looks a lot smaller now than it did back then.
Right.
You know, we would ride our bikes from home out on 44 to the park and swim, and ride them back home up the hill on Reuben Drive. I mean, that was just.
Right.
I know it's the older we get, the better we were, right?
Oh yeah.
But there's some reality to that.
We used to sneak, come down the pond to the fisheries and shoot to the backside of the park and down. So up through Charmin. So I don't know. There's lots to do in this community. And the biggest thing is if you're a parent and you want to get involved with this program, get a hold of one of these gentlemen because I know you guys need help. You always need help with something. It seems like
We're always looking for coaches to help, whether it's just take a 2nd grade team, take a 4th grade team. We're always looking for help with our travel extension with Indy Hoops. Just always looking for good quality people that want to invest. Sometimes, and the majority of people invest for the right reasons and give back to the community, give back to the student athletes. And the one thing I think people recognize after they do it is the amount of growth that they see in these young people from the time they start at the beginning of the year to the end of the year, because kids change so much and they can see that growth.
right.
And I think that's one thing that our league has done a really good job of over the years, going back to Kenny, still now with Dean. There's kids that'll be very successful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have a point limit rule, so only so many points can be scored by one individual during a game. So that helps other kids get involved.
Sure.
We have rules that help promote team play, but we also have kids that don't have that success. Okay, they don't make the basket. So one thing that we've done in recent years is we've changed the size of the ball. So our youngest group uses a 26.5 ball, which is smaller than a girl's ball. We've been able to find gyms in the community where we can go down to 8 feet, where in the past we haven't been able to do that.
So we weren't playing cross court anymore. It was a smaller court, but it was still up and down the court.
Oh, okay, good.
So we want kids to have success at a younger age, see the ball go in the hoop. We're trying to do some things where those kids learn good habits when they're at a young age, and so that they can develop that. Because if they don't have fun, if they don't have any success along the way, then they're going to get discouraged to a certain
100%.
degree. And it doesn't matter what league you're in. You know, I could go out here and flip a skateboard around, and if I don't break my ankle first, I'm probably going to quit because I'm not going to be very good at it. But the point, you know, the same point is being made. So we've tried to find ways for kids to have some success along the way. And I can remember Kenny Roden, you know, identifying a couple kids when they were younger that, you know, maybe not had made a basket by the end of the season.
Sure.
And all of a sudden there's a foul and they go to the free throw line. It might have been a phantom foul, but all of a sudden they go to the free throw line and they throw one in there. And they're so excited.
Yep.
You know, and so, you know, we want to and you know, these guys, I think one thing that we haven't talked about, at the end of the year we have closing ceremonies. And our board gives a ton of things away. Bicycles, basketball goals, basketballs, T-shirts,
Colts
autographs, Pacer autograph. It's just endless of the amount of stuff that's given away on that Saturday in February. And we've been doing that for a number of years. And the kids get excited. They all walk out of there with a pair of socks or a T-shirt or something.
Yeah.
And it's really a good event. So any monies that's left over at the end of the year, it's going back to the kids. And it's going back with that closing ceremonies. So we just want to make a good experience for these young people when they're going through the program.
That's awesome.
Here's
real quick. I hear you, Nicole. I coached one of hers for a while. I wouldn't say they did a great job. We did have fun though. And then Brandon Applegate, I 100% believe I would not be where I am today without lesson learned all coach along the way. There you go. One of your former. And he's a doctor, and he'll be in here. He's messaged me today. I'll get you in next week, Brandon. I didn't mean to not reply. Just busy at work today, but good dude.
Quick story about successes. 2 years ago, I'm reffing a second grade game. We had the last game of the season, had a kid that had not scored. He really wasn't aware of where to be on the court to score. So his team comes down, and like 3 times in a row, I kind of position him. As a ref, I'm still kind of moving him to the block.
Right.
And he has a teammate that's playing along, and they throw the ball. Finally, the third time I get him where he needs to be, the teammate passes him the ball. He's going to make the shot. It's going to be contested. I'm ready to call a phantom foul if it doesn't go in. Well, the kid hacks him. I mean, it's a legitimate foul, and the ball goes in.
There you go.
I mean, and he came this close to missing the free throw. I mean, to making the free throw. He was that close to making it. So, but the way he was running around, high-fiving his teammates after he made it, that's what makes it.
Right.
You know, it's those successes. It's the kids that are good at it that enjoy it, but it's also the kids that, some of these kids aren't going to play high school ball. There's only so many kids that make it. But some of these kids may play Y ball, right?
Right.
They may play intramural in high school. They may go to IU and play intramural, and you've given them the tools to enjoy that the rest of their lives. To sit and watch a basketball game, watch the NCAA tournament, and have an understanding of basketball and appreciation that takes it to a level of enjoyment they wouldn't have had if they didn't play.
Thanks, Doug.
One thing that just to kind of tie in here a little bit. So being an AD at other high schools, I was surprised about how basketball programs were ran. Because to me, this was the staple. Like, this is the way it should be done everywhere, right? So I go to other schools, I'm watching, and there's no bitty ball player of the week. Like, what are we doing? We're not going to announce some little guy that's in the 3rd grade and run him out there on a court for the starting lineup. I mean, that's something that we've done here for nearly 50 years.
For as long as I can remember.
But not every school does that, right? And so we have an individual that does, Matt Branham, past couple of years, would specifically welcome that student athlete, that 3rd or 4th grader, give him the shirt, tell him where to stand.
That's awesome.
Tell them about how to go out on the court and greet the official with a bottle of water and a towel. But that doesn't happen everywhere. And another thing doesn't happen everywhere is that we've had Eric Meyer in the TV station broadcast 5th grade championship games.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
We're going to broadcast a 5th grade game? And there was a time where WCBK also broadcast that championship game. I mean, that doesn't happen everywhere.
Right.
This is special. And I think we've taken it for granted for so many years. We've kind of forgot how good it really is.
Right.
I mean, this is really, really good. And we have people around the state that'll contact me and say, "Hey, tell me about your youth program. What do you do? How do you?" So I sent them the book that Dean talked about earlier and said, "Well, these are all the drills we run." And then we put together another packet of the game schedules, because the league is so organized. We know when you're going to play. You know where you're going to play. You know the length of the game. I mean, it's so well ran that we just have taken it for granted for so many years, because this is a gem in our community. Right. No question about it.
Yeah, and we're standing on the shoulders of Ken and Teresa Roden.
Right.
Make no mistake. I mean, that we took what they created, and we're trying to tweak it and make it a little bit better and change it as times change. But we're really standing on their shoulders. But we also benefit. I want to shout out to the school system. We don't pay to use the facilities, and that's why we can charge $70 for your first athlete to play.
Right.
And if you have additional ones, $55. That's why they get, for $70. You're getting 14 practices, maybe 24 if you're a 4th grader.
Right.
You're getting 10 games. You're getting a tournament if you're 4th, 5th, or 6th for $70. That's a heck of a deal. It really is.
Can't beat that.
So, and then we scholarship young people too. Mm-hmm. So if a family comes to us and says, "Hey, we can't afford it," we find a way. We're not going to turn any kid away.
Right.
If a kid comes and the parents talk to us, we're going to make it the opportunity for that kid
Figure
to play.
it out.
You know, and that's what we should do. You know, we're a service organization. We're a not-for-profit. We turned it into a not-for-profit about 5 or 6 years ago. We wanted to give some help back to those sponsors that donate monies back to the program. So if they wanted to do anything in terms of tax purposes, we're able to do that. So it took us a little time. Kenny and I worked through that to make sure it was a not-for-profit. And so we're very proud of that as well.
All my kids have played in Lil Arties sports and have such wonderful experiences. They didn't go to higher levels, but still enjoyed the sports days. There you go. Thank you, Nikki.
I've reached out to Eric Meyer. They're going to televise the 4th grade championship game again this year.
That's awesome.
So that'll be on February 12th at high noon.
You guys should talk to the guys at Porch Time and see if they cover it for you.
Well, I'm planning on sending out invitations to leaders in the community, Kevin,
right,
to attend this game.
I'll send it over to the leader of the Porch Time.
I want to get the whole lower portion of the gym full for that championship.
That would be awesome.
Well, more importantly, we want to celebrate the 50th year of it.
Right.
And there's so many people that have been a part of it, whether as a coach, a player, a fan. We want to bring as many people back throughout this year and recognize just people that have contributed to the program because it's been such a good thing for our community. And, you know, we have little Artie nights where we have the kids come in and we do some demonstrations on the court during a varsity contest during the season. We have a clinic where the kids come in on Martin Luther King Day and we spend time with the high school kids and the Little Artie program and do some drills, and they love it. They just love it. We have an autograph session at the end, and I tell the players that you can sign the poster, you can sign their shirt, but body parts are off limits.
And you didn't always have that rule.
Well, I mean, because they're like, you know,
I've seen foreheads.
There's, I say that rule is put into place for a reason.
Yeah.
That's a more recent rule.
We've covered some football, but baseball was one we've been covering for a while, and we do the little guys because they're the funnest. And this is a couple years ago. We get there and they're all looking at us, and we got all of our whole setup, and we interview a couple of them before the game. Well, as the game progresses, it strokes a pretty good single, goes running to first, and we set up inside fence right on the foul line. They let us do that because we didn't want to mess with the fans and have them coming over. We wanted that separation, but still carry all the action. So he comes running down the first base line, and we're right down the line at him. And the camera's there, and he comes running down the line, and he jogs, and he pulls up, and he goes, "You guys ready to interview me again?" Dude, we lost it. But that's the fun we could have with that, and we'll look into covering some games and maybe even getting them in here, because there's nothing greater than getting a message from a grandma in Florida, and she says, "I just watched my grandson play football or baseball, and I've not got a chance to all year, and thank you for doing that." And that's why we do what we do. And so hopefully we can get some games in for you guys, maybe certainly championship games, and have some fun with that. So, and definitely get them in here at some point in time if coaches want to do that. We offer that, and it's like, no, just come in here, sit down and chat, guys. Just have fun with it, because your grandmas and your grandpas will remember it forever. Believe me.
Yep, they will.
Real quick, I know you got to get out of here. You guys got to run all over the place. Sponsors. If somebody wanted to sponsor you guys or be a part of it, how do they go about that?
They could contact me directly at the high school athletic department, dean as well. So, and I tell you one thing that we've done the last couple of years to help our sponsors. We've combined the golf outing. So boys basketball has had a golf outing annually for the last 8 or 9 years. Actually, Chris Sheets, Ken Rode, and myself sat down and we rolled that out my first year as a head coach, and that's really been a good thing. But so what we did in the last 2 years is we combined it. So if you were a sponsor for the golf outing, then you also became a Little Artie sponsor.
Okay.
So we doubled it up, get a little more bang for the buck for the sponsors. But there's still opportunities for that sponsorship. $150 to get you involved with Little Arties, and it's just a great thing. We put it on the website. Thank our sponsors. We also promote them during the closing ceremonies at the end of the year.
Sure, 100%.
One other thing we did 2 years ago, we couldn't do it last year because we couldn't have Players of the Week last year. But each 2 years ago, we had 3 Players of the Week each night, each home game, and each kid was sponsored by one of our sponsors.
That's awesome. That's a good deal.
We rotated through 3 sponsors a night on that.
I'm going to close with this. I've known you both for many years, and I can't think of 2 better humans in this city to be doing what you do. Labor of love, you said it, Dean. Yep. You've worked your butt off to get where you're at, and you say you're on filling big shoes. Someday somebody's going to say that about you too.
I don't know. I don't know. That's hard to believe that anybody would compare me to Ken. But
Well,
thank you.
And I know you've been involved in everything. You're almost as bad as that guy was on here a minute ago, Helms, who's coached.
Oh, he's
coached,
way above everybody.
He's coached everything but a checker team because he doesn't know we have one. I think so.
By the way, it is cold in here.
That's good. It's good.
Just so Rob knows that.
Oh, there you go, 75. So, gentlemen, thank you both very much.
Thank you for having us.
You'll hear from us again here real soon. We'll certainly cover some games, and appreciate you guys coming in.
Sure,
it's awesome. Get the coaches in here and have the kids come in, and the parents love that stuff. So we'll certainly cover some games and go from there.
Put February 12th on your calendar. I'll get you an invite for high noon for that championship game for the 4th grade.
We will be there for that. I guarantee you that. That'll be fun stuff.
It is fun.
Kevin, we just want to celebrate Little Arties and recognize the 50 years of
wow.
Youth basketball in our community, and the many people that have been a part of that program and played in the program. And we just want to celebrate it this year, and it's going to be a year-long type of recognition.
Can't wait.
The crazy thing, Kevin, is that we started, I think, in year 3. You and I playing probably.
Yeah, I'm 54, so
I'm 55.
Yeah.
And now it's 50 years, and we were like 3 years in.
Yeah.
Started playing, doing drills. All it was drills back then.
Yeah, I remember it. And we were over at West Middle. And it was still West Middle.
Yeah.
The greatest gym ever. I don't know why they had to do what they had to do to that, because that place was phenomenal. So anyway.
Well, and that's where a lot of us found our passion.
100%.
With basketball, going to see Jerry Seasteen.
I was there, the 75 section.
And Jerry Seasteen.
Wasn't that place amazing?
I was there.
Dan Roden.
Ken
Bill,
Mask,
Bill Kramer.
Bill Kramer, and on down the line.
And I can remember going to the Columbus Regional, the following week and feeling awful for the next year and a half. Those are just memories that just don't leave you. And I can remember going to the football games, and my grandfather, we were parked on the cedar track, going around the grass field there at what's now Wooden Middle School.
Yeah.
And my grandfather kicking a bell when we scored a touchdown, whether it was Bill Harris or whether it was Jerry Seasteen or a Schoolcraft.
O'Neill's.
You go down the list, right? So, but that's where we developed the passion for athletics, but specifically for Martinsville athletics.
100%.
And I can remember going to baseball games and watching Vince Burpo play and Mark Bennett.
Vince was in here.
Just good times through that time frame. And
what another class individual, Vince.
No question.
We had such a good time with him in here. Just a class man and a great family. Shirley Burpo was one of the greatest writers I think this community could ever, So we were blessed with some very good people growing up, I think.
No question. And you talk about Vince. We recognized him a couple of years ago after he was inducted in the Indiana High School Football Hall of Fame, and he was very humble with that, and just very proud all at the same time. But he's a byproduct, if you will, of Martinsville and hard work and dedication and being true to yourself, and he's done well. But we got a lot of people to say that about.
Oh yeah.
But you think back when this Little Artie program started,
50 years.
We were in a very good time frame too, where it propelled not just one sport but multiple sports during that time frame.
Oh yeah. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. I know you got to run. You've got a million things. Soccer game?
We have a soccer game tonight, so it's.
You're heading there.
I'm heading there. So I just left the JV game, came over here. I'm proud to do that, and we got to finish up here. We host Franklin tonight. So
if there's a busier guy in town, I don't know.
I know. Well, Rob and him between the two,
There's no question. Rob's way ahead of me. So,
but he complains about the cold, so I don't want to hear it. So, thank you so much, Dean. Thank you so much. You guys need any help, let us know.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Like and share it. Push it out there. I want people to see this. Love you guys. We will see you soon.